I didn't hate New Year's Eve. I just didn't trust it. Every year felt the same. Loud promises, cheap hope. People acting like a number changing on a clock could undo 12 months of damage. That year, I volunteered to work late. Night shift at the distribution warehouse on the outskirts of town, just off Route 11. It paid time and a half, and I didn't have to pretend I was excited about anything. I clocked out at 7:46 p.m. I remember the exact time because I checked it twice. Once on the wall clock by the lockers, and once on my phone as I shoved it into my jacket pocket. It was already cold enough that the air burned my nose, the kind of cold where everything smells metallic. I walked across the parking lot to my car, boots crunching over frozen gravel. Fireworks popped faintly somewhere far off, barely louder than gunshots muffled by distance. The drive home should have taken 25 minutes. Straight shot, Route 11 all the way until it merged into town. I stopped at the gas station about 5 miles down the road. Same one I always used. One pump permanently wrapped in yellow tape. The canopy light buzzing like it was about to die. A handwritten sign taped to the door saying, "Happy New Year," with a smiley face drawn crooked. Inside, the place smelled like burnt coffee and old oil. I grabbed a microwave burrito, a bottle of soda, and a pack of gum. The cashier didn't look up when he rang me out. "Happy New Year," he muttered. "Yeah," I said. When I walked back outside, the wind had picked up. Sharp, bitter. I unlocked my car and got in. That's when I noticed the radio was already on. I froze for a second with my hand still on the door. I always turned the radio off before getting out. Always. I hated getting blasted with noise when I came back. A local station was playing one of those end-of-year shows. The DJ was laughing too loudly, talking about countdown parties downtown. "Still a few hours left, folks," he said. "Plenty of time to make bad decisions." I told myself I must have forgotten. It happens. I started the engine and pulled out of the lot. The road was quieter than I expected. Usually on New Year's Eve, Route 11 was packed with people trying to beat the clock. Instead, there were long stretches where I didn't see another set of headlights. The trees along the road stood stiff and black against the sky. No wind in the branches, just empty. About 10 minutes in, the radio crackled. Not static, something thicker. The DJ's voice cut off mid-sentence, replaced by silence that lasted just a little too long. Then a man spoke. Not the DJ. "This is your first warning," the voice said. It wasn't threatening. That's what bothered me. It sounded tired, like someone reading instructions they'd read too many times. I reached for the radio knob, thinking another station bled through. Before I could turn it, the dashboard clock caught my eye. 11:52 p.m. I frowned. My phone buzzed in my pocket. I pulled it out. 8:03 p.m. I laughed under my breath, shook my head. The car clock had always been off. I hadn't bothered fixing it in years. The radio clicked back to the DJ like nothing happened. I drove on. A mile marker passed. 42. Another minute went by. Another marker. 42. I slowed slightly, eyes scanning the roadside. Maybe I missed something. Maybe they'd replaced a few signs. Then another. 42. My stomach tightened. I checked my speed. 45. Same as always. Fireworks cracked louder now. Close enough that the flashes lit up the sky in brief white pulses. Each one reflected off the windshield like a camera flash. The radio cut out again. This time the same man's voice returned. 10 minutes. My hands tightened on the steering wheel. I tried the radio. Nothing. Just the voice. 10 minutes, he repeated. The dashboard clock now read 11:50 p.m. It was counting backward. I told myself it was electrical. Cold weather, old car, coincidence stacked on coincidence. That's when I noticed the gas gauge, still full. I'd been driving nearly 20 minutes. The road ahead dipped slightly, and for a moment, my headlights caught something reflective on the shoulder. A car, parked, hazard lights off, door open. I passed it too fast to see inside. My phone buzzed again. A text from my sister. "Happy New Year!" Timestamp, 12:01 a.m. I pulled over immediately, Gravel screamed under my tires as I stopped on the shoulder. I shut the engine off, breathing hard. The night was wrong. No fireworks, no wind, no distant engines. Just silence so thick it pressed against my ears. The dashboard clock ticked. 11:59, 11:58, backwards. I got out of the car. The cold hit harder than it should have. It felt heavy, wet, like breathing through fabric. Route 11 stretched endlessly in both directions, lit only by my headlights. The gas station should have been visible behind me. It wasn't. The radio turned itself on. 30, 29. The voice wasn't alone anymore. I could hear others beneath it. A crowd, low murmurs, breathing, shuffling feet. 20. I backed toward the car, heart pounding so hard I could feel it in my throat. That's when the headlights flickered. When they came back on, people were standing along the road. Dozens of them. Men, women, different heights, different shapes, all facing me, all perfectly still. No faces I could make out, just silhouettes, dark against darker trees. 10. My legs wouldn't move. 9. Their clothes looked wrong. Too thin for the cold. Too old. Some reflective. Some not. 3. I slammed into the driver's seat and started the car. The engine hesitated, then roared to life. 2. I floored it. The car surged forward. The figures didn't react. They didn't step back. I passed between them like cutting through mannequins. 1. Every light went out. Headlights, dashboard, radio, complete black. The car kept moving. I screamed. Then, I was pulling into my apartment complex. The headlights were on. The radio was off. The dashboard clock read 12:17 a.m. Fireworks exploded overhead. Neighbors hugged in the parking lot. Someone popped a bottle and laughed too loudly. I sat in the car until the engine overheated. I never found Route 11 on my GPS again that night. And every New Year's Eve since, at exactly midnight, my radio turns on by itself. Just static. And a voice counting down from 10. I almost didn't go. That's the part that still bothers me. I was already home. Shoes off, hoodie on, microwave humming in the kitchen. It was December 31st, and I'd made peace with the idea of falling asleep before midnight like an old man. Then my phone buzzed. Dan from work. Party on Cedar Street. Not huge. Just people we know. Come through. I stared at the message longer than I should have. Outside, I could already hear fireworks popping early, the sound echoing weirdly between buildings. I told myself I'd just stop by. One drink, 30 minutes. Then I'd head home before things got stupid. I left my apartment at 9:25 p.m. Cedar Street was about a 15-minute drive. I didn't know the area well. Mostly older houses, built close together, porches sagging under years of weather. As I got closer, the streets got narrower. Cars were parked half on sidewalks, half in the road. I finally found a spot 3 blocks away. As I walked, I noticed something strange. The houses were decorated for Christmas. Lights, wreaths, inflatables. But none of them were on. Every decoration was dark. The party house stood out immediately. White 2-story place near the corner. Porch light on, warm yellow glow spilling through the front windows. Music thumping softly, bass heavy but restrained. The closer I got, the more a smell hit me. Not alcohol, not food, damp, like a basement that hadn't been aired out in years. I knocked once. The door opened almost immediately, like someone had been waiting behind it. Dan grinned when he saw me. Too wide, eyes glassy. "You made it," he said. "Come in." Inside, the house felt crowded without being loud. Maybe 20 people. Music playing, but quiet enough that everyone talked in low voices. Conversations felt short, fragmented, like no one wanted to commit to a full sentence. I took a beer from the kitchen counter. It was already warm. "Long night?" I asked Dan. He nodded. "You could say that." I checked the time. 9:58 p.m. Someone laughed from the living room. It cut off abruptly like they'd been interrupted. I started to relax, told myself I was reading too much into things. Then I noticed the hallway. It led deeper into the house past the staircase, darker than the rest of the place. The light flickered faintly, like it couldn't decide if it wanted to stay on. People kept glancing at it, not staring, just quick looks, like checking a clock. I asked where the bathroom was. Dan hesitated for half a second. "End of the hall," he said. "Last door on the left." Then quieter. "Don't use the one downstairs." I laughed. "Why?" He shrugged. "Just don't." The hallway smelled worse than the rest of the house. Old water, mold, something sour underneath. Each step creaked loudly, even though the floors near the living room hadn't. The sound echoed behind me. The bathroom door was already open. The mirror was fogged, like someone had just taken a hot shower. The sink dripped steadily, once every 3 seconds. I locked the door behind me. As I washed my hands, I wiped the mirror with my sleeve. That's when I saw the words. They were scratched into the glass. Not written, carved. Not midnight yet. The letters were uneven, deep enough that my sleeve snagged on them. My heart started racing. I unlocked the door and stepped back into the hall. The music stopped. Not faded out, stopped. The house went quiet. I could hear people breathing. Someone in the living room started counting, softly, together. 38, 37. I checked my phone. 11:14 p.m. That didn't line up. I walked faster toward the living room. Everyone was standing now, facing the front door, smiling faintly like they were watching fireworks I couldn't see. 20. The porch light flickered. 15. The air felt heavy, pressurized. My ears popped. I moved toward the door. A woman stepped into my path. I hadn't noticed her before. Short hair, pale skin, eyes unfocused. "Don't leave," she said calmly. "It messes it up." "What?" I asked. The counting continued behind her. 8. I pushed past her. The front door opened on its own. Cold air rushed in, sharp and wet. Fireworks boomed outside, but they sounded wrong. Slower, deeper, like echoes underwater. 3. I ran. The moment I crossed the threshold, everything cut off. Silence. The street was empty. No music. No voices. No fireworks. The houses were dark. All of them. I stood on the sidewalk, gasping, my breath fogging in the cold. My phone buzzed. 12 a.m. Happy New Year texts flooded in. Behind me, the party house stood dark and silent. Porch light off, curtains drawn, no sound from inside. I walked away fast, didn't look back again. The next morning, curiosity got the better of me. I drove back. Same route, same turns. Cedar Street didn't exist. There was no gap where it should have been. No empty lot, just a row of houses with different numbers, like the street had never been there at all. I checked city maps, online records, nothing. Every New Year's Eve, since when the countdown starts, I stay inside. And when the clock hits midnight, I swear I can still smell damp carpet, like a house waiting for everyone to come back. I never liked taking the train at night. During the day, it felt normal, predictable, schedules, crowds, noise. At night, especially on holidays, it felt like something people used only because they had no better option. That New Year's Eve, I was one of those people. I worked security at a small transit hub on the edge of the city. Nothing serious, mostly checking doors, walking platforms, filling out logs that no one ever read. Holiday shifts were slow, and New Year's Eve was usually quiet until just before midnight. I clocked out at 11:07 p.m. I remember because the supervisor joked that I might miss the moment. I told him I didn't care. I just wanted to get home. The last southbound train was scheduled for 11:10 p.m. 3 minutes to spare. The platform was colder than usual, the kind of cold that settles into concrete and radiates upward through your boots. Fireworks popped somewhere above ground, dull and distant, like thunder trapped underground. There were only a few people waiting, a couple in their early 20s, standing close together and whispering. An older man in a long coat, holding a folded newspaper, even though there was barely enough light to read. A woman standing near the edge of the platform, facing the tunnel. She didn't move when the train lights appeared. The train arrived exactly on time. That stood out to me later. We boarded the middle car. The doors slid shut with a heavy clunk, sealing us inside. The interior lights hummed softly. The smell was familiar, cleaner mixed with old metal and something electrical. I sat near the door. Habit. As the train pulled out, I checked my watch. 11:12 p.m. The couple laughed quietly. The sound echoed more than it should have. The older man unfolded his paper, smoothing it carefully. The woman by the door stared straight ahead, her reflection faintly visible in the dark window. The first station passed without stopping. Then the lights flickered, just once. The digital display above the door glitched, flashing nonsense symbols before settling. Next stop. Midnight. I frowned. That wasn't a station. I leaned forward, squinting at it. The letters were steady, clear. Midnight. The older man lowered his newspaper and met my eyes. He didn't look surprised. "You see it too," he said. I nodded slowly. The couple stopped talking. One of them checked their phone. The other whispered something I couldn't hear. The woman near the door spoke quietly, almost to herself. "It's early this year." The train sped up. I could feel it in my stomach. The subtle shift forward. The tunnel lights blurred past faster than usual, stretching into long white streaks. I checked my watch again. 11:18 p.m. Too early, the display flickered. Arriving, midnight, the train began to slow, but there was no platform ahead. No lights, no signs, just open darkness beyond the tunnel. The brakes hissed. The car lurched gently. The doors slid open. Cold air poured in, not station air, not recycled air, outdoor air, sharp and biting. It smelled like snow and rust and something older, like stone that had never seen sunlight. Beyond the doors was nothing, just black. The older man stood up. He folded his newspaper neatly, placed it on the seat, and walked out without hesitation. The couple followed. They didn't look scared. They didn't talk. Just held hands and stepped into the darkness. I stayed seated. My legs felt heavy, like they didn't belong to me anymore. The woman turned toward me. Up close, her face looked tired. Not dead, not sick, just worn down, like someone who hadn't slept properly in years. "You don't have to," she said gently. "Not everyone does." "What is this place?" I asked. She smiled faintly. "Still midnight," she said. "That's all." The doors began to close. Something in me snapped. I stood up and ran toward the next car, forcing my way through as the doors slid shut behind me. The metal edges scraped my shoulder hard enough to tear fabric. The moment I crossed the threshold, everything went dark. No lights, no sound, no movement. I don't know how long it lasted. Seconds, minutes, maybe nothing at all. When the lights came back on, I was alone. The train was moving at a normal speed. The hum of the tracks was familiar, comforting. The display read my home station. I laughed once. Loud. Too loud. When the train stopped, I got off shaking. Fireworks exploded overhead as I climbed the stairs out of the station. People hugged, cheered, counted down late, phones in the air. My watch read 12:07 a.m. I walked home in a daze. The next morning, I went back to the transit hub. I told myself I needed proof that I hadn't imagined it. I checked the logs. Every train was accounted for, except one. The 11:10 p.m. southbound. No arrival time, no delay notice, no incident report, just a blank line. I asked my supervisor about it. He stared at the screen for a long time. "That train was retired years ago," he said finally. "We don't even use that numbering system anymore." Every New Year's Eve since, I stay home. But when midnight hits, exactly midnight, I hear it. A low rumble beneath the floor, metal on metal, a train passing underground. Right on time.